Hey, English learners, welcome back to Mr. English Fluent Tutor and welcome back to another wonderful episode. I am Anna.
And I am Abel.
Abel, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
What do you think about when you hear the words describing your personality in English?
Honestly, Anna, my first thought is that it sounds incredibly difficult. I always imagine I need to use these huge, fancy psychological words or sit down and take one of those complex corporate personality tests just to describe who I actually am. It feels like a serious science project, not a simple conversation.
Oh, Abel, I completely understand why it feels that way, but I want to gently correct that idea right now. Talking about your personality is not about big technical terms or formal tests at all. It is simply about sharing your everyday human traits and daily habits using comfortable, simple words that people already use in normal conversations. That is truly all it is.
Wow, when you put it like that, Anna, it actually sounds so much more approachable. So you were saying I do not need to sound like a psychology professor just to tell someone what kind of person I am. That honestly takes a huge weight off my shoulders already, and I'm genuinely excited to explore this topic with you today.
Exactly, Abel, and that excitement right there tells me something beautiful about your personality already. You are curious and open, and those are wonderful traits to have. So today, we are going to talk about how to describe your personality in English using everyday language, simple analogies, and real, natural examples that make the whole process feel comfortable and even joyful.
I love that framing, Anna. And I think what makes this topic so special is that personality is something we all have. Every single person listening right now has a unique character, a unique way of moving through the world. The challenge is simply finding the right English words to express that character out loud, and that is exactly what we are going to help with today.
Yes, beautifully said, Abel. And the very first thing I want to share with our listeners today is something I think of as the water from a bottle analogy, because I believe it is one of the most helpful ways to understand one of the most commonly discussed personality differences in English. That difference is being an introvert versus being an extrovert.
Oh, I have heard those two words so many times, Anna, but I'll be honest, I was never 100% sure I was using them correctly. I always thought introvert simply meant shy and extrovert meant loud and outgoing. Is that the right way to think about it, or is there a better explanation hiding underneath those labels?
Great question, Abel, and that's actually a very common misunderstanding. Here's the water from a bottle analogy to make it crystal clear. Imagine your daily energy is like a fresh, full bottle of water. An introvert protects their bottle very carefully. They recharge and refill their energy by resting quietly at home, reading a book, or spending calm time alone or with just one trusted person.
That makes so much sense, Anna, and I can already feel myself relating to that image. So, the introvert is not necessarily shy or antisocial. They just prefer quieter, smaller environments to feel their best. They protect their water bottle because social situations slowly pour the water out, and they need quiet time to fill that bottle back up again. That's a really beautiful way to see it.
Exactly right, Abel. You got it perfectly. And now imagine the extrovert. The extrovert actually fills their bottle by pouring energy outward into large social gatherings, lively conversations, group activities, and exciting events with many people. For an extrovert, those big social situations do not drain their bottle at all. Those situations are what actually replenish it and make them feel wonderfully alive.
Oh, wow. I love that point, Anna. So, both ways of experiencing the world are completely valid and completely beautiful. It's not that one personality type is better or worse than the other. It's simply that different people have different sources of energy. And knowing that about yourself helps you describe who you are without any shame or judgment attached to those words.
Absolutely, and that word shame is so important here, Abel. So many learners feel a quiet kind of shame when they try to describe themselves in English, especially if they feel their personality is somehow not impressive enough to talk about. And that brings me to the second analogy I want to share with you today, which I call the room with two windows.
Oh, I really like the sound of that one, Anna. Tell me more about the room with two windows, because I can already feel there's something really important hiding inside that image. I think a lot of our listeners are probably going to recognize themselves in whatever you're about to describe, and I want to hear every single detail of it.
So imagine you're sitting in a room and there are two windows in front of you. The first window has cloudy, foggy glass. When you look out through that cloudy window, everything looks dull and gray. Looking through that window of insecurity, you only see your negative traits. You think to yourself, I'm too quiet, I'm too shy, I'm too reserved, and I don't have anything impressive to say about who I am.
Yes, Anna, I have absolutely sat at that cloudy window before. It's a very familiar feeling. You focus so heavily on what you think are your weaknesses that you completely forget to look at the other side. And when you're stuck at that foggy window, describing your personality in any language feels like an impossible and uncomfortable task, let alone doing it in English.
Exactly, Abel. But here's the beautiful part. In the same room, there's a second window, and this one looks out onto a green, sunny garden full of life and color. When you shift your chair and look out through that green garden window, everything changes. Suddenly, those exact same traits look completely different. Being quiet becomes being a fantastic listener. Being reserved becomes being deeply thoughtful.
Mm-hmm. That's such a powerful reframe, Anna. And honestly, that shift in perspective changes everything. The trait itself doesn't change at all, only the window you choose to look through. So a learner who says, I'm too shy, can shift to that garden window and say instead, I am a very attentive and thoughtful communicator. That feels so much more honest and so much more empowering than the foggy version.
100% able, and the language we choose to describe ourselves truly shapes how we see ourselves and how others see us too. This is why choosing the garden window matters so deeply, not just for English fluency, but for your own inner confidence as a person. When you describe your traits with kindness and accuracy, other people naturally respond to you with more warmth and genuine curiosity.
That is so true, Anna, and it connects perfectly to something I want to bring up that I know many learners worry about. A lot of people feel like they need a massive, enormous English vocabulary before they can even begin to describe their personality. They think they have to know hundreds of advanced words before they are allowed to open their mouths and say anything meaningful about who they are.
Oh, yes, Abel. I hear that worry all the time. And this is where I want to introduce what I call the stepping stones analogy, or as I sometimes like to describe it, the pocket coins idea. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a wide river and you need to cross to the other side. You do not need a magical bridge to appear all at once. You just need one stepping stone at a time.
Oh, I love that image, Anna. So the idea is that you do not have to learn every single personality word in one big, exhausting sitting. Instead, you just find one small coin of focus, maybe 10 quiet minutes in your day, and you learn just one personality word. Today you learn easygoing, tomorrow you learn organized, the day after that you learn empathetic. And slowly the stepping stones appear, and you walk across that river one confident step at a time.
Beautifully described, Abel. You said that perfectly. And I want to pause right here because easygoing and organized and empathetic are all wonderful personality words, and I want to make sure our listeners know exactly what they mean. So, Abel, let us do a little vocabulary moment right here inside our conversation. Can you tell me what easygoing means to you in your own simple words?
Sure, Anna. Easygoing is one of my favorite personality words. It means someone who is relaxed and calm, someone who does not stress or panic over small, unimportant things. An easygoing person is flexible and comfortable to be around. For example, you might say, my best friend is very easygoing, so we never argue about where to eat dinner because she's always happy with whatever we choose.
Oh, that is a perfect example, Abel. I can picture exactly that kind of friend. And honestly, everyone loves having an easygoing person in their life. Now, let me share the next word with our listeners. The word empathetic is a beautiful and very useful personality word. Empathetic means you have a natural ability to understand and feel what another person is feeling, even without them saying a single word about it.
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense, Anna. And I think empathetic is honestly one of the most important human traits a person can have. A great example sentence for empathetic could be something like, My sister is incredibly empathetic, so whenever I'm having a bad day, she always knows exactly what to say to make me feel understood and less alone. That word carries so much warmth inside it.
It really does, Abel, and I love that example. Now, I want to move on to the next analogy because I think it is one of the most practically useful things we'll share today. I call it the clean knife analogy. So many learners, when they try to describe their personality, reach for extremely complicated and flowery academic terms because they think those words sound more impressive or more intelligent.
Oh, yes, Anna, I know exactly what you mean. I've done this myself. You want to sound sophisticated, so you pick the fanciest word you can find. But then the person you're talking to looks a little confused, or worse, the conversation suddenly feels stiff and unnatural. It's like trying to cut a soft piece of bread with a huge, heavy, overcomplicated tool when all you actually needed was a clean, sharp, simple knife.
Exactly, Abel. That is the analogy perfectly captured. A clean, sharp knife in language means choosing simple, high-frequency expressions that cut clearly through any communication fog. Words and phrases like reliable, punctual, warm-hearted, and honest are clean, sharp knives. They say exactly what you mean with zero confusion, and they land beautifully in any conversation, whether it's casual or professional.
I really like those examples, Anna. Let me try to define one of those clean knife words for our listeners right now. The word reliable is a fantastic personality word. Reliable means someone who you can always count on and trust completely to do what they say they will do. A great example would be, my colleague is incredibly reliable, so whenever she promises to finish a task by Friday, it's always done perfectly on time.
Oh, that is a great example sentence, Abel. Really clear and natural. And punctual is a close partner to reliable in so many ways. Punctual simply means always arriving on time, always keeping your schedule, and showing respect for other people's time by never making them wait. For example, you might hear someone say, "He is one of the most punctual people I know. He has never once been late to a single meeting in 3 years."
Wow, 3 years of perfect punctuality, Anna? That's impressive. I wish I could say that about myself, honestly. I'm working on it, though. And that actually connects really well to something I know you want to talk about next. There's a small but incredibly powerful word in English that completely changes how we talk about our personality traits, especially the ones we're still working to improve. Is it the word yet?
Yes, Abel, it is absolutely the word yet. And I'm so glad you set that up so naturally. The magic word yet is something I teach almost every single learner I work with because it's a tiny word that carries an enormous amount of hope inside it. It completely transforms a fixed, closed statement about your personality into an open, growing, and forward-looking story about who you are becoming.
I love that, Anna. And I want to be really honest with our listeners right now, because I think sharing a real personal example here will make this land much more deeply. I have an inner voice that sometimes criticizes me when I'm studying new English material. That voice says, "Abel, you are too impatient. You give up too quickly when something is hard. You'll never be consistent enough to really improve."
Oh, Abel, thank you for sharing that so honestly. That inner voice is something so many of our listeners will recognize in themselves immediately. Now, here's how the magic word yet changes that story completely. Instead of saying, "I'm too impatient," you say, "I'm not as patient as I would like to be yet." Instead of saying, "I give up too quickly," you say, "I haven't mastered consistency yet." Do you feel the difference?
Oh, wow, I absolutely feel the difference, Anna, and it's honestly quite moving. The word yet doesn't erase the challenge or pretend it's not real. It simply opens a door at the end of the sentence. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells yourself that you are on a journey, that you are growing, and that this trait is not your final destination, but simply the current chapter of your story.
Beautifully said, Abel. I could not have expressed it better myself. And this connects so naturally to the next important idea I want our listeners to hold on to today. Talking about your personality in English is not a strict job interview, and it is not a school examination. There is no invisible judge hiding behind your sofa, ready to grade every word you say about yourself. No teacher is crouching behind the furniture.
No teacher behind the sofa. I love that image, Anna, because that is genuinely how it feels sometimes, right? Like there is someone listening and judging every single word choice you make when you try to describe yourself. But real conversation does not work like that at all. Real conversation is generous and forgiving and warm. When you speak honestly about who you are, people lean in and listen with genuine interest and care.
Exactly, Abel. An honest, natural expression is truly how human beings connect with each other at the deepest level. When you speak about your personality with warmth and simplicity, without trying to impress anyone or sound like a textbook, people feel that authenticity immediately. They feel comfortable around you. They want to know more about you. That is the real power of describing your personality well in English.
That makes so much sense, Anna. And I think it also removes a lot of the performance pressure that learners put on themselves. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to have the most elegant vocabulary in the room. You just have to be genuine and clear and kind in how you describe yourself. And when you do that, the language naturally starts to flow with much more ease and confidence.
Yes, and that word confidence leads me to the final analogy I want to share today. And I think this one is going to be especially comforting for our listeners who feel like they are waiting and waiting and waiting for confidence to suddenly arrive. I call this the slow friend analogy. Confidence in describing yourself does not arrive as an instant electric shock. It does not show up dramatically at your front door.
Oh, yes, Anna, I know that feeling of waiting for confidence very well. You tell yourself that one day you'll just wake up and suddenly feel completely comfortable and fluent in expressing who you are in English. But that magical morning never quite arrives. And so you keep waiting, and the weeks pass, and you still feel hesitant every time someone asks you to talk about your personality or share something about yourself.
Exactly, Abel. And here's the beautiful truth about confidence. It is more like a slow, quiet friend who walks beside you on a long afternoon stroll. When you slow down your physical pace, choose your words comfortably and without rushing, and allow yourself to simply speak with the words you already have, that slow friend gradually catches up to you and walks right alongside you before you even realize what has happened.
I absolutely love that image, Anna. The slow friend analogy tells you to stop running ahead of yourself, trying to be a perfect English speaker before you've done the simple daily work. Slow down your cadence. Breathe. Choose one clear and honest word at a time, and trust the process. Confidence does not need to arrive before you speak. It actually arrives because you choose to speak anyway, even when it feels a little uncertain.
Yes, 100% able. Speak first and confidence follows, not the other way around. And I want our listeners to carry that truth with them every single day. Now I think it's a wonderful time to continue our vocabulary review because we've been weaving some really rich and important personality words throughout our whole conversation today. And I want to make sure we look at a few more of them together very carefully.
Oh, yes, Hannah. I was hoping we would get back to the vocabulary section because I think it's one of the most practically useful parts of everything we do on this show. And I know our listeners always appreciate when we slow down and really examine the words up close. So let us keep building that vocabulary together. Which word would you like to look at next from our conversation today?
Let us look at the word thoughtful, because we mentioned it earlier when we talked about shifting from the cloudy window to the green garden window. Thoughtful, as a personality trait, means you are someone who considers the feelings and needs of other people before you act or speak. It means you pause and reflect before making decisions that might affect those around you. It is a deeply kind and generous trait to have.
Oh, that is a wonderful definition, Anna. And here's a natural example sentence for thoughtful that I think our listeners can use right away in their own conversations. You might say, "She is one of the most thoughtful people I have ever met because she always remembers the small details that matter to you and surprises you with kindness at exactly the right moment." That sentence feels very real and very warm to me.
It really does, Abel. I love that example. Now, let us talk about the word ambitious, because this is another personality word that comes up very frequently in conversations about who we are, especially in professional settings. Ambitious means you have a strong desire and determination to achieve your goals, to grow, to improve, and to reach higher levels in your career, your studies, or your personal life.
That makes so much sense, Anna. Ambitious is one of those personality words that can sometimes feel a little intimidating to claim for yourself, as if saying, I am ambitious might come across as arrogant or selfish, but of course, it does not mean that at all. A great example sentence could be, I would describe myself as ambitious because I love setting big goals and working hard every single day to move closer towards them.
Oh, perfectly said, Abel. And claiming positive words like ambitious for yourself is a wonderful and important act of self-awareness. It shows that you know what drives you and what makes you tick as a person. Now, let us look at one more personality word from today, because I want to make sure we cover the word trait itself, since it is a word that holds all of these personality conversations together in a very important way.
Oh, great choice, Anna. The word trait is such a useful foundational word for this whole topic. A trait is simply one specific quality or characteristic that forms part of someone's personality or character. So, for example, you might say, one of my best personality traits is that I'm very organized. Or you might describe a friend by saying, one of her most admirable traits is her ability to stay calm under pressure.
That is perfect, Abel. Really clear and practical. Now, let us also quickly visit two more beautiful words from our conversation today. The first is introverted, which we touched on earlier with the water from the bottle analogy. Introverted, as a descriptive personality word, simply means you tend to feel more energized and comfortable in quiet, smaller, or more private environments, rather than large, loud, and busy social settings.
Yes, Anna. And a really natural example sentence for introverted that a learner could use about themselves might be something like, I'm quite introverted, so I genuinely enjoy spending my evenings at home with a good book or a quiet film rather than going to large parties. And I want to say again that being introverted is not a flaw at all. It is a completely valid and beautiful way to experience the world.
Absolutely, Abel, 100%. And our final vocabulary word for today is warm-hearted, which I also mentioned when we talked about the clean knife analogy. Warm-hearted means you are a kind, caring, and genuinely generous person who makes other people feel welcomed and valued just by being around you. It's one of those personality descriptions that almost everyone hopes someone will use when they talk about them.
Oh, warm-hearted is such a lovely word, Anna. I think one of the most moving things someone can say about another person is that they are warm-hearted. A nice example sentence would be, my grandmother is the most warm-hearted person I know because she always makes sure every single person who walks through her door feels completely at home and deeply cared for. That word carries so much love inside it.
Oh, Abel, that example made me smile so genuinely. Your grandmother sounds absolutely wonderful. And I think that's exactly the power of personality words in English. They don't just describe someone, they tell a little story. They paint a picture. They invite the listener into a relationship with the person being described. That's why learning these words matters so much beyond just the grammar and the vocabulary rules.
Yes, Anna. And I think that's the heart of everything we've been talking about today. Personality words aren't just labels you stick on yourself. They're invitations into a deeper conversation about who you are, where you come from, what you value, and what kind of life you're building for yourself. And when you find the right English words to express all of that, something really magical happens in your connections with people.
Something magical indeed, Abel. And I think we've covered so many rich and important ideas today that it is now the perfect moment for you to bring all of these wonderful threads together and give our listeners a beautiful summary of everything we've explored today in the episode. Would you like to do the honors of walking everyone through our key takeaways for today?
I would absolutely love to, Anna, and thank you for this opportunity. So here's a warm and comprehensive recap of everything we explored together today. We learned that describing your personality in English isn't about using fancy psychological terms or taking corporate personality tests. It's simply about sharing your everyday human traits using clear, comfortable, and honest everyday words that anyone can understand and appreciate.
That is a wonderful starting point, Abel. Please keep going because I think our listeners will really benefit from hearing all of these ideas connected together in one flowing summary.
Of course, Anna. We explored the water from a bottle analogy, which showed us that introverts recharge their energy by resting quietly, while extroverts refill their energy through lively social connection. Both are beautiful, and both are completely valid. We then looked at the room with two windows, which reminded us that shifting from the cloudy window of insecurity to the green garden window of kind self-awareness transforms our weaknesses into strengths.
Oh, yes, that window shift is one of my favorite ideas from today's whole conversation. It is such a visual and memorable way to carry that mindset shift with you every single day. Please continue, Abel, because I think the stepping stones and the clean knife ideas are so important for our listeners to hear again in this summary moment.
Absolutely, Anna. We talked about the stepping stones and pocket coins analogy, which told us we do not need a massive vocabulary overnight. Just 10 minutes a day learning one new personality word like easygoing or empathetic or reliable allows us to cross the river one confident stepping stone at a time. Then the clean knife analogy reminded us to always choose simple, sharp, high-frequency words over complicated, flowery academic language that creates unnecessary fog.
Beautifully summarized, Abel. And I know the magic word yet is something that many of our listeners are going to take away and use in their inner voice today. So please make sure that makes it into the summary as well, because it is genuinely one of the most transformative small language tools we talked about in the whole episode today.
Of course, Anna, the magic word yet is essential. Instead of saying, I am too impatient, you say, I am not as patient as I would like to be yet. That tiny word opens a door of growth and hope at the end of any sentence about a trait you are still working on. And we also remembered that there is no teacher hiding behind the sofa grading your personality conversations. Honest and natural self-expression is always enough.
Yes, always enough. I love hearing that repeated, Abel. And the slow friend analogy.
Yes, Anna, the slow friend analogy. Confidence does not arrive before you speak. It arrives because you choose to speak anyway. When you slow your pace, breathe, and choose your words comfortably without rushing or performing, your slow friend called confidence quietly catches up and walks right beside you. Trust the process. Keep using the words you already have, and your ability to describe your beautiful personality in English will grow every single day.
Abel, that was an absolutely perfect and wonderful summary. Thank you so much for bringing all of those threads together with such warmth and clarity. And now I want to speak directly to every single person who is listening to us right now, because today I want to ask you to do something very simple, very personal, and very powerful in the comment section below this video or this podcast episode.
Oh, I love a good community challenge, Anna. What are you going to ask our listeners to do today? Because I have a feeling it is going to be something that really makes them stop and think deeply about who they are and how they want to share that with the world.
It is indeed, Abel. Here's the invitation for today. I want you to drop a comment below right now and share 3 simple words that best describe your own unique personality. It can be words we discussed today, like easygoing or thoughtful or warm-hearted, or it can be your own beautiful words that feel true to who you are. 3 words, that's all. Let the world see a little piece of you today.
Oh, I absolutely love that challenge, Anna. And I want to encourage every single listener to actually do it. Not just think about it, but actually type those 3 words right now. Because sharing who you are in writing, even in just 3 simple words, is a beautiful and brave act of English practice and self-expression, all rolled into one. We read every single comment, and we would genuinely love to see your 3 words today.
We really, truly would, Abel. And if you found today's episode helpful and you feel like you learned something new or felt something shift in how you think about describing yourself in English, please share this episode with a friend who is also on their English learning journey. Sometimes a single conversation like this one can open a door that changes everything for someone, and you could be the person who gives them that gift today.
That is such a beautiful thought, Anna. Sharing good learning resources is one of the kindest things you can do for someone you care about. And to every single listener who has stayed with us through this whole wonderful conversation today, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your time and your attention and your commitment to growing in English means the absolute world to both of us on this show.
It truly does, Abel. Thank you, thank you, thank you to every one of you. Remember that every single step you take on this English journey matters, no matter how small it feels in the moment. Every new word you learn, every sentence you practice, every honest thing you say about yourself in English is building something beautiful and lasting inside you. Please never stop. You are doing so much better than you think.
100%, Anna. And to circle back to the very heart of today's conversation, you do not need perfect words to describe a perfect personality. You simply need honest words to describe your real, wonderfully complex, beautifully imperfect, and completely unique human self. And the English language has more than enough warm and simple tools to help you do exactly that, starting from today and every single day forward.
Starting from today. I love ending on those words, Abel. And with all of that warmth and all of those beautiful ideas shared between us today, I think it's time for us to say our goodbyes for this episode. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking with confidence and ease. This is Anna.
And this is Abel, and you've been listening to the Mr. English Fluent Tutor podcast. Bye-bye. Take care.
And hey, before you go, make sure you click on the next video right now to keep your English progress moving forward. There are so many more wonderful conversations and lessons waiting for you right here on the channel. We'll see you in the next one.